IVM.
Folks, welcome to Credit Smart with CIBIL. My name is Anupam Gupta. I'm the host of the Paisa Vaisa Podcast. My guest, Sujata Ahlawat, Senior Vice President at Union CIBIL. Sujata, thank you so much for doing this for our listeners.
Thank you, Anupam, for having me back. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Great. So let's start. Sujata, here's the thing. So all of us understand credit with credit score. When we are trying to understand, what credit card can I apply for? What will happen if I apply for a loan? We all start with credit score. I want to talk about two things that we start this first episode. One, what is a credit score? And two, what products does this give me access to? So first, credit score.
Yeah, so, as we talk about credit score, Anupam, let's look at what a credit report is. So credit report is an entire history of your financial transaction. It covers who you've taken a loan from, what is the amount you've taken from, when have you taken from, and what is your payback history. Are you paying back on time? Are you regular with your installments? Credit score basically is a numeric number that translates all of this into a three-digit number, which is from 300 to 900, where 300 is the lowest score, 900 is the highest score. So as we start looking at credit score and CIBIL score, it is a gateway to all the good things in life. So whether it is the first job that you're looking for, whether it is the first credit card, your dream house, or any kind of loans that you need to make things better, CIBIL score is the answer for that.
So in a certain sense, my financial independence or my financial well-being is linked to my credit score.
Absolutely. I think your financial aspirations are linked to a CIBIL score.
There's no fail in credit score. I mean, in school, like 35 out of 100 used to be fail. How does the credit score work? What's good, what's bad, and stuff like that.
So the good news is a credit score is in your hands. How you want to improve it, it's in your hands. So if you don't have a score, you can build one. If you've had a bad score due to some instances, you can improve it. The hard part is you have to take actions. So like I said, a good score, generally above 730, is considered to be a good score. However, if by any reason it's been lower, you can definitely take actions to improve it.
And you can improve it. It's not
Absolutely.
Like the end of the road or something.
Absolutely. I think, like I said, it is in your hands. It requires diligence. It requires good credit habits, but definitely can be improved.
Sure. So I've heard of this term called credit access, which I guess means my access to the products that are out there, which are based on credit. And there are a whole lot of them. Let's talk about that.
So, Anupam, as you look at credit access, and let's understand what credit is. It could be a credit card. It could be a personal loan that you're looking at, a home loan. It could also mean fancy phone or a fancy television that you want when you walk into a store and walk out on credit. So credit access basically means access to all of those products. Just adding to how high CIBIL score helps you with it, it definitely makes a huge difference to what you're being offered. So a lot of us would have seen or got messages that you're eligible for a pre-approved offer. That might be true. When you are very diligent in your payments, you have a high CIBIL score, you are one of the customers that the banks want to go after. So it's not just getting access to that credit product, but also getting it faster, getting it cheaper, which that means that you will get at a better interest rates. It also means lower processing fees, down payments for the house that you need to buy. So clearly, a high CIBIL score makes a difference, not just getting you that credit product, but at better terms as well.
That's interesting. So I guess let's just talk about the elephant in the room, so to say, or in the studio. How do I improve my credit score?
So Anupam, like I mentioned, it's in your hands, but we have to walk the hard path. So as you start looking at what goes into a credit score or what makes a difference, like I mentioned earlier, there are four big things. Who have you taken that product from? What is the kind of product? So whether it's a secured loan or an unsecured loan. So secured loans basically are home loans, auto loans, etc. Unsecured would be credit cards, personal loans, consumer loans. So it's important to have the right mix of a secured and an unsecured loan as you start looking at it. And the most important part is, how are you paying back? So it's very, very important to ensure that all the installments, all the EMIs that you have, you're paying back on time. I think that's the golden rule. That is the most important factor that impacts your credit score. Also, it is very, very important to not to over leverage yourself. I think off late, all of us are big users of credit card with all the reward points that we get. While it is important to get all the benefits, I think it's important for users to make sure that they are paying all the outstanding on time. Even a small amount, we might think that it's a small amount, it's an interest, that might balloon up. Also, as we start looking at what really matters, it's not a very wise decision to over leverage yourself on credit cards, because one of the most important factors is the utilization ratio, which basically means what is the amount of credit that has been assigned to you and how much are you using it all the time. So if you are maxing it out, that might be considered negatively, as you start looking at building credit. So if I could just give you an example, say, for example, if you have 3 credit cards, and I think, credit cards, generally, we should use it very, very diligently. So you have 3 credit cards with a limit of 1 lakh each. And if you've been maxing it out, if you've been spending a lakh every month, that means your utilization ratio is about 30%, which is good. But higher you go will definitely impact your credit score, because that's one of the factors as well. Also, like I said, another factor is, when are you taking a loan? Too many inquiries. So if you're really shopping for loan, if you're taking loans, if you're applying for credit very often, that might be considered negative as well, because that shows a credit hungry behavior. So clearly, I think use credit to your advantage, make sure that you're not over leveraging yourself, make your payments on time. And above all, I think as you start looking at building your credit, one important part is not just building credit, but protecting your credit as well, right? You need to monitor your credit profile. You need to monitor your CIBIL report and score regularly. In fact, if you don't know where to start, we offer a free credit report on our site, CIBIL.com. It's important that you continue seeing what are the kind of information is added to your report. If you see any kind of discrepancies, which could be due to some reporting of information, you can come back to CIBIL, make sure you're correcting that. But monitoring is the key. So build it and protect it.
I'm going to just recap that, because there's some important stuff you said out there. The first that I really like in this, I think it's the key to using a credit card, or for that matter, any loan. Pay on time. That's really important, right?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, even skipping once by whatever, 1 day, 10 days, whatever, that is going to impact your credit score. I think that would be the first red flag for the person who's giving you that credit card, is if you're not paying on time.
Absolutely. And in fact, that has the biggest weightage to your score being impacted.
That's what I thought. So paying on time has the biggest. Okay, let's go to the second one. This is my favorite, right? Because all of us love to have a lot of credit cards. One is for reward points, one is for, X, Y, Z, one is for fuel. Is there an ideal, you should have so many credit cards, or how does this work?
So, Anupam, here, I would not say an ideal number of cards, but it is also, when you look from a behavioral standpoint, right? The more cards you have, the more risk you're holding, right? The more dates you have to remember in terms of, paying back, more chances of you over leveraging yourself. So I think it is that diligence and is required from an individual. Clearly, I think as you start spending more on one card, I mean, that's the kind of, like I said, utilization, you're trying to show that kind of behavior rather than having those small spends. So
I was going to come to the third one, which is that not applying for too many, for the same thing too many times. I think some of us, probably if they don't get a loan from X, then apply to Y, and then Z, and then A, and then B, and then C, is that also could impact your credit score, right?
It does. So too many applications in a short period of time does impact, because it also shows that you are not getting the loan that, you are deserving of. Also, if you really look from a standpoint, if you really want to check your eligibility, it's, you should probably check your own CIBIL score first, rather than checking after you've applied. Once you check your own CIBIL score, you would know your score, what are the deals that are available for you. And checking your own CIBIL score does not add any kind of inquiry to your report, or it does not impact your score as well. So I think it's important to be self-aware, understand what you're eligible for, and then apply for it.
Yeah. So the obvious question after that is, how do I check my CIBIL score? Let's say that I'm doing this for the very first time. And as you said, that there is one free score that you can do in a year or whatever the time limit is. So do I need an Aadhaar card? Do I need a PAN card? What's the process like? How do I actually check my credit score for the very first time?
Yeah, so Anupam, like I said, the good way to start is you can go to our website, CIBIL.com. There's a free CIBIL score and report link available. Obviously, a big part is we want to make sure we authenticate the individual, because it is sensitive data. You put in your information, your personal details, your Aadhaar or PAN number. We will authenticate you. And once you get authenticated, you get access to a dashboard to yourself. which actually shows your CIBIL score and report. You also have, in case you notice any kind of discrepancies that there might be, you have an option to register from the portal itself. And once you're comfortable with it, I would definitely recommend checking once is not enough, right? Because like we said, it's a dynamic number. The better, especially if you're looking to improve your credit, if you're looking to improve your CIBIL score, monitor it regularly. Come back, check what are the options available for you, check the advisory, and take control of it. I think it's our responsibility to take control of our own credit behavior.
Yeah, and the last question for this episode, Sujata, what is a credit report? We started with credit report. I want to end on that because this is a very comprehensive document. It's got, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. Let's just, talk about what a credit report is, what it looks like for someone who doesn't know this.
So, Anupam, if you really look from a credit report, I did mention it's a report card, right? But I would kind of add to that, it's an entire credit history that gets submitted to the bureau from all the banks. Let's look at any kind of product that you've taken. If you've applied for a credit card, a personal loan, consumer loan, an overdraft account, banks submit all the information to CIBIL. So let's look at the sections that a report has. So there'll be personal information that would be as a part of your report because those are the information that you have given to the bank or a financial institutions while applying for a loan. So your name, mobile number, address, etc. Contact information, that's the second part as well. The third and the most critical section is your account level information. So like I mentioned, who have you taken that credit product from? What is the bank name? In terms of when did you take? What is your payment history? So are you paying back on time? In fact, if there are any kind of adverse information, and we will talk about it in our future episodes, but if there's a write-off or a suit filed, all that information is available on the report. Then when you start looking from a perspective of inquiries, that entire section on inquiries. So who you are through the personal information, including contact information, what are the kind of accounts that you have, and how are you paying back. So a credit report is a very, very comprehensive report. And all this information gets reported on a regular basis from weekly, fortnightly to monthly to CIBIL. We consolidate all that information for you. So you are, your entire history or a credit history is available with the bureau.
Yeah, certainly a lot of pressure on me. There's like a score and it's a report. School ki yaad aa gayi. It's like, but the good part, like you said, is you can actually work at improving your scores. And I'm sure that your report will get upgraded and your score will improve if you follow a certain discipline, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it is all, like I said, it is like a school report, but much more than that, right? So it is in your hands, you own it, you control it, and it improves as you start showing the right discipline.
Yeah, and that's a wrap, folks. That's a wrap on this first episode of Credit Smart with CIBIL. My guest, Sujata Ahlawat, Senior VP at TransUnion CIBIL. Stay tuned. We're going to improve your credit habits. Your credit's going to a whole lot of stuff on this podcast.
Hello, everybody. It's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On the Life Manifestos, Arena shells out 10 worthwhile lessons on how to be self-dependent on an Independence Day special. On A Niche Thing, Anish is in conversation with Shivani Sambhare. She is the founder of The Art Insider, and they discuss how one can start an affordable art collection. On the Vox podcast, I talked to Carrie Hoffman. She is the CEO of PRX. We talk about the progress of the podcasting business across the globe. Really, really fun conversation. Appreciate Carrie for taking the time. On the finale of Do What Floats Your Boat, Nani speaks to Anupam Gupta, co-founder and CMO of Boat Lifestyle. They discuss his entrepreneurial journey and inspiration. And on Cider Says It's Cock and Bull, Cider Sayushi, Vikramaditya, and Sriram talk about the attack on author Salman Rushdie. Once again, I'd like to remind you all, please do check out our merch. It's available on IVM Podcast website. Go click the shop tab and you'll be able to see our first collections of t-shirts. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Remember, we got a bunch of YouTube channels as well. And if you want to check that out, go to our website, ivmpodcast.com/YouTube. We have a list of all those channels. And remember, do tell a friend if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter. Word of mouth is one of the most important and best ways for us to get the word out about this podcast. Also, it's a way for you to have discussions about a podcast with your friends. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Boat Lifestyle, Checkpoint Software, Small Case, and Intel vPro. Thank you so much for making this possible.
What is the workplace and how does your gender and body affect your right at work? Hey, I'm Priya Mirza, and on the Longest Constitution podcast, we critically examine the vision of the Indian Constitution and laws. In season 1, we looked at sex, gender, sexuality in India, and the landmark judgments which transformed our rights as citizens in this country. In season 2, we discussed the laws which shape the workplace and examine how ability, competence, and merit impact us, and much more. Join me, Priya Mirza, every Wednesday only on the IVM Podcast app, website, and all the major podcast streaming platforms.